Many can achieve stardom, but only one can be known as Elvis.
It's time to take a look at Elvis Presley's appearances in comic books. He's made over 253 such appearances, so obviously we won't be covering all of them, just the ones where he's prominent.
Before we begin, I want to remind you that if you love comics and pop culture as much as I do, you'll subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to stay informed of upcoming videos. Please share this video, as that will help me gain subscribers as well. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. The latter has been picked up by Cutthroat Comics. Check the links below for more details and the link to Dracula Rising, which is available on Amazon. Here's some great artwork from Raphael Lanohouse from the origin story Foul Blood. Once again, available on Cutthroat Comics. See the links below. And now,
on with the show, this is it.
Today we're going to check out comic books that feature the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. With so many appearances, we won't talk about all of them. He's appeared in parody comics such as Crazy, What the, and Spoof. Elvis appeared in several romance comics throughout the 1950s and 60s. The Elvis Connection. Young Elvis Presley grew up in poverty. According to Elvis Australia, the young musician grew up in stark poverty. In September 1949, the family was granted permission to live in Lauderdale Courts in Memphis, Tennessee. This was a public housing apartment available only to those families whose income was not more than $3,000 per year. Many children in poverty like to read books or comics as a form of escapism. Elvis was no different. He even said in an interview once, "When I was a child, I was a dreamer. I read comic books, and I was the hero of the comic book." In the attic of Graceland, there is a box containing some of the comics he loved as a boy. And in a recreation of his childhood home at Lauderdale Courts, it is Captain Marvel Jr., number 51 from 1947, that is set on the desk. So we can be sure he was a fan. Although there are plenty who say Elvis modeled his hairstyle on that of Tony Curtis, there's also a strong similarity between Elvis's distinctive haircut and sideburns and those of Captain Marvel Jr. When he was rebooted, Freddie revealed himself to be an Elvis fan as part of the Teen Titans series in the 2000s. As noted in a Screen Rant article, Freddie has been known to quote Elvis, to wear flame shirts, to sport a lightning bolt necklace, and at one point wants to be called King Shazam in honor of his hero. Then there's 2016's Loophole Comics Elvis Adventures. Written by that duo of hound dogs, Bob France and Kevin Cuff, with art by Rachel Ordway that's sure to get you all shook up and lettering by Micah Devil in Disguise Myers, The Elvis Adventures is a lip-curling, leg-kicking laugh riot for the whole family. When a trio of menacing aliens arrive on Earth looking for the king of the world, they mistakenly pay a visit to the king of rock and roll instead. But when the aliens demand the unconditional surrender of the planet, Elvis jumps straight into TCB mode, that's taking care of business for the uninitiated, and checks their backside straight into the Heartbreak Hotel. And believe us, it ain't so he can love 'em tender. Elvis makes an appearance in What If number 9. Iron Man calls an Avengers meeting with Captain America, Thor, the Vision, and the Beast to show them video from a dimensional viewer he made based on the transporter used by the Squadron Supreme. The images show the late 1950s of what may or may not be their own world. As they watch the video, the watcher watches them. From the mind of creator Joe R. Lansdale comes a prequel to the cult classic film, Bubba Hotep. President Nixon has discovered an alien threat, and he knows there's only one man he can reach out to for help, Elvis Presley. But will Elvis be enough to defeat a horde of cosmic bloodsuckers? Two cult classics clash for the first time in an epic crossover miniseries, Army of Darkness vs. Bubba Hotep. Ash embarks on a soul-searching road trip to Texas on a hunch that Elvis Presley may still be alive and kicking, and supposedly vanquished a mummy. What follows is a series of universe-spanning events that involve an Elvis jumpsuit with special time travel abilities, a trip to 70s Vegas, plus the reveal of an evil new Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon Hotep. Join the adventure in a road-tripping, time-hopping groovy tale from IDW and Dynamite. In issue 1 of the Vertigo Sandman comic, Elvis makes a brief appearance. He was in Mort Notkin's Dream, in which he, along with other famous icons like John Wayne and Marilyn Monroe, were laughing at him because he was in a clown outfit. From writers Matt Sullivan and Gabe Guarenta and art by Ethan Young, Bruce Lee, Jim Morrison, Elvis Presley, Andy Kaufman, Tupac Shakur, all controversial cultural icons who died before their time. Or did they? These legends alive and well, part of Project Resurrection, a global crime-fighting unit that's a cross between the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Celebrity Rehab. They're the world's most famous dead superstars, and they're living super spies. When a terroristic reality TV supervillain plans to extend his 15 minutes of fame by making a play for infamy via a Hollywood Holocaust, the Comeback Kings must put aside their differences and reunite for an encore in order to stop him. The show must go on. Liquid Comics' graphic Elvis Limited Collector's hardcover is an illustrated homage to Elvis's lifelong appreciation of comic books. In the same way comic books inspired Elvis, this book will enable today's premier comic book artists to find inspiration from Elvis' treasured archives at Graceland, creating a unique visual experience for his millions of fans. Beyond original illustrations and stories, the book also features Elvis' handwritten notes and reflections on life. 140 pages and released in 2012 for the 35th anniversary of Elvis's death. For the first time ever, one of Rock 'n' Roll Comics' most acclaimed series is collected and back in print. The Elvis Presley experience is both scholarly and dramatic in its graphic recreation of the King's remarkable life story. Though the series was among the best-selling contemporary biographic comics of the 1990s, the individual issues have been out of print for over 10 years. A young Elvis Presley navigates a treacherous high school landscape and hones his musical ambitions in a new excerpt from Elvis, the graphic novel. Elvis was written by Chris Miskiewicz and illustrated by Michael Shelfer. The graphic novel will cover Presley's career, from his Memphis roots and Sun Studios' breakthrough to the triumphs and tribulations that marked his reign as the king of rock and roll. Elvis Presley tries somewhat humorously to get past heaven's pearly gates in the new teaser video for Stan Lee's original short story, Elvis. The afterlife fantasy by comics legend Lee was originally created as part of Liquid Comics' $195 hardcover anthology Graphic Elvis, which is limited to 2,500 copies. Now the story is a cool component of the Graphic Elvis preview. Why an Elvis tribute illustrated by some of comics' top creators? Presley was a confessed comics geek who, before and since his death 35 years ago, has appeared everywhere from Captain America to the Sandman. Plus, the King knew how to make a superheroic entrance. I remember the time I first saw him on TV, when he burst upon the music scene like a blazing comet, Lee said in a statement from Liquid Comics. I remember the indescribably powerful impact he had on the youth of the nation and the world. And that was a brief look at some of Elvis Presley's appearances in the pages of comic books. Did you enjoy the show? Did we leave any Elvis comics out? Do you have a favorite Elvis comic? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the show, please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to stay informed of upcoming shows. Until next time, this is Andrew in for Kevin Gibbon saying live long and prosper, may the force be with you, to infinity and beyond. Keep reaching for the stars.